What if the story of Adam and the Garden of Eden wasn't the beginning of everything? What if, before the first human set foot on earth, another world existed, a world brimming with power, betrayal, and beings beyond our comprehension? The Bible, a book you thought you knew, might be concealing a truth erased from its very first lines. Do you dare to ask, what truly happened before humanity's time began? And why does that truth still echo, shaping your very life today? The chaos of the modern world, its conflicts, suffering, and unanswered questions, is not mere chance. They may be echoes of a forgotten history, where fallen angels roamed, giants walked the earth, and a divine plan was set in motion. Have you ever felt like you're part of something far greater, a story that transcends what the eye can see? These mysteries don't just lie within the pages of the Bible. They're a call to uncover the profound meaning of your own existence. This journey will take you beyond the sealed pages of Scripture, where cosmic battles, vanished civilizations, and a triumphant Savior intertwine. You'll uncover clues hidden in ancient texts, legends from distant cultures, and a truth that could transform how you see God, the world, and yourself. This isn't just a story. It's an invitation to step into an eternal reality where every moment carries timeless significance. If you're ready to unveil this secret, hit the like button now, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss a single moment. Join us as we step into a world before Adam, where hidden truths await revelation. Open the Bible to Genesis 1:1, and you'll find the familiar words. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. These words seem like a grand proclamation, launching the story of creation, where God calls the universe into being from nothingness. But read the next verse. The earth was formless and empty, and darkness covered the face of the deep. Genesis 1:2. A moment that seems like a perfect beginning. Why does it shift so quickly to a world shrouded in chaos? Is this truly the start, or the remnant of an event erased from history? Something is hidden within the Bible, a secret lurking between these two verses, waiting for those bold enough to dig deeper. In Hebrew, formless and empty is expressed as Tohu Vabohu, a rare phrase that appears only 3 times in the Old Testament. To grasp its meaning, consider its use elsewhere. In Isaiah 34:11, Tohu Vabohu describes a land judged by God, desolate and devoid of life. Similarly, Jeremiah 4:23 paints a scene of a city in ruins, swallowed by darkness after divine wrath. This phrase doesn't evoke a pristine new world, it's the wreckage of destruction. So, what caused the earth to fall into this state before Adam's arrival? Could a judgment have taken place, an event the Bible reveals only through subtle clues? The word was, haya, in Genesis 1:2 can be translated as became, suggesting a change in state. The earth wasn't created in chaos, it became chaotic. This raises a haunting question. Before God created Adam, what shattered this world? 1 Corinthians 14:33 declares, God is not a God of disorder, but of peace. If God didn't create a desolate earth, who or what caused the Tohu Vabohu? Picture the earth as an abandoned palace, once radiant, but now reduced to rubble. The answer may lie in a concealed history, a tale of betrayal and judgment that the Bible only faintly traces. The mystery of Tohu Vabohu leads us to a theory that reshapes how we view the creation story. The gap theory. This idea suggests that between Genesis 1:1, God created the heavens and the earth, and 1:2, the earth was formless and empty. There lies a vast span of time, perhaps millions of years, where another world existed, flourished, and was destroyed. This isn't science fiction, it's an interpretation rooted in the Bible's text, supported by ancient traditions and theological reflections. The phrase Tohu Vabohu hints at a world once judged. But judged for what? Ancient Jewish Midrash texts like Bereshit Rabbah 3:7 recount that God created multiple worlds before ours, each destroyed for becoming corrupt. These worlds may have housed spiritual beings, intelligent entities that defied God's purpose. The Bible doesn't explicitly state that Adam's earth was God's first creation of life. Instead, it focuses on humanity's story, leaving gaps for us to ponder. Could another world, a forgotten civilization, have existed before Adam? Early church fathers like Origen speculated about spiritual events predating humanity, suggesting angelic beings played roles in the universe before Adam's creation. If God doesn't create chaos, as 1 Corinthians 14:33 affirms, then the Tohu Vabohu state must stem from an event outside God's original intent. Michael Heiser, in The Unseen Realm, argues this chaos may tie to a spiritual rebellion, where beings tasked with governing the earth betrayed their role. Could the earth be the ruins of a kingdom destroyed by betrayal? If so, who ruled that world before its collapse? Envision a cosmic stage where God crafted a magnificent world, only for a rebellion to plunge it into darkness. When God began reshaping it in Genesis, he worked on the ruins of a failed world. The next question is, who were the figures behind this collapse? To answer, we must meet the mysterious beings the Bible calls the sons of God, entities who witnessed creation and may hold the key to this enigma. Job 38:7 reveals a startling detail. When I laid the earth's foundation, the morning stars sang together, and all the sons of God shouted for joy. Pause and reflect. This verse speaks of the moment the earth was formed, yet Adam didn't exist. So who are these sons of God? What were they witnessing as the earth came into being? They cannot be humans, as humanity appears later in Genesis. These must be spiritual beings, perhaps angels, present before our time began. In Hebrew, sons of God is Ben-Ha Elohim, a term found in Genesis 6, Psalms 82, and Daniel 3:25. Each time, Ben-Ha Elohim refers to angels or beings with power far beyond humanity. They are real figures in the Bible's universe, entrusted with significant roles. But why were they rejoicing? Were they celebrating the birth of a perfect earth, or an event greater than we've been told? The ancient text of Enoch, cited in the New Testament, Jude 1:14-15, calls them watchers, angels tasked with overseeing the earth. Yet not all remained faithful. Some betrayed their purpose, leading to catastrophic consequences. Picture a celestial choir before God's throne, singing as the earth took shape. But if the earth soon became Tohu Vabohu, what disrupted their joy? Some suggest these Ben-Ha Elohim were assigned to govern aspects of creation, including the earth, before humans existed. Yet the betrayal of some among them may have caused the chaos described in Genesis 1:2. Were these Ben-Ha Elohim witnesses to a world that was erased? If they once praised creation, why did some turn against God, triggering the collapse of the very world they beheld? The mystery of Tohu Vabohu brings us to the heart of the story, the fall of Lucifer, the most glorious angel, who may explain why the earth became desolate. Isaiah 14:12 laments, "How you have fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning." Ezekiel 28:13-15 paints a vivid picture. You were in Eden, the garden of God. You were an anointed cherub until iniquity was found in you. But this Eden isn't Adam's Garden of Eden. It's a heavenly Eden, a sacred realm where Lucifer once stood near God's throne, radiant and powerful. So what caused this angel, once called the seal of perfection, Ezekiel 28:12, to descend into darkness? Lucifer wasn't created evil. He was a cherub among the highest angels, tasked with worship and guarding God's holiness. But pride crept into his heart. Isaiah 14:14 records his bold declaration, "I will ascend above the clouds. I will make myself like the Most High. This was a cosmic rebellion. Revelation 12:7-9 describes the outcome. There was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon was hurled to the earth. Lucifer, now Satan, was cast out of heaven, taking a third of the angels, the stars that fell, with him. But what if Lucifer's fall wasn't confined to heaven? What if it directly impacted the earth? Some suggest the chaos in Genesis 1:2 resulted from this war. When Lucifer was cast down, the earth, possibly once his domain, was reduced to ruins. Could the earth have been Lucifer's first battlefield, where his kingdom crumbled before Adam drew breath? If so, the serpent in the Garden of Eden wasn't just an intruder. He was a survivor, carrying the bitterness of a lost war, ready to wage his rebellion on a new battleground. Humanity. As the earth lay shrouded in the darkness of chaos, as described in Genesis, a group of angels known as the Watchers entered the narrative, bringing with them an act of betrayal that shook the boundaries between heaven and earth. The ancient text of Enoch, cited in the New Testament, Jude 1:14-15, recounts these angels, tasked with overseeing and protecting the earth, who chose a path of rebellion. Led by Samjaza, 200 watchers swore an oath on Mount Hermon, resolving to cross divine boundaries by mating with humans. This was not mere disobedience, it was a revolt against God's order. But why did these angels, once faithful guardians, turn their backs on their mission? What drove them to abandon heaven for the pursuit of desire? The Book of Enoch describes how the Watchers were captivated by the daughters of men, Genesis 6:2. Taking them as wives and giving birth to a new generation, the Nephilim. This was no love story. It was a sacred violation, shattering the divide between the divine and human realms. The Watchers didn't stop at mating. According to Enoch, they also imparted forbidden knowledge, such as metallurgy, weapon making, and secrets of astronomy. These teachings, meant for angelic beings, altered the nature of the human world, unleashing chaos and violence. Could the Watchers' actions have been an attempt to forge their own kingdom on earth, one that defied God's authority? Genesis 6:4 reveals that from this union, the Nephilim were on the earth in those days. But the Nephilim were not merely a mistake. They were the result of a deliberate plot. The Watchers, once protectors, became traitors, transforming the earth into a new battlefield for their ambitions. The consequences of their actions didn't just affect humanity, they corrupted God's very creation. The question arises, did the Watchers realize their actions would lead to a global catastrophe? And why did God allow them to tread this path of betrayal? The answer may lie in the very nature of the freedom God granted his creatures, but what was the cost of that freedom? The Nephilim, born from the union of Watchers and humans, were not merely physical giants. Genesis 6:4 calls them Nephilim, from the Hebrew Naphal, meaning the fallen ones. They were not only morally fallen, but also the product of an unnatural hybridization, carrying the blood of both angels and humans. These beings were not mythical figures, but the embodiment of a profound corruption, threatening God's plan for humanity. Just how dangerous were the Nephilim, and why did their existence pose such a grave threat that God had to intervene? The Bible describes the Nephilim not only as giants in stature, but also as brutal and violent. Genesis 6:11 declares, "The earth was filled with violence." The Hebrew word shamus used here doesn't just denote ordinary violence, but a state of lawless chaos and cruelty. The Nephilim didn't merely endanger humans, they threatened God's intent in creating humanity in his image. Genesis 1:26. Could their emergence have been an attempt to corrupt that sacred image, transforming humanity into something no longer belonging to God? The Book of Enoch recounts that the Nephilim not only wrought violence, but spread destruction across the earth, consuming resources and slaughtering humans. They were hybrid beings, neither fully angelic nor fully human, wielding supernatural strength but lacking holiness. Some ancient traditions, such as the Jewish text Targum Jonathan, depict the Nephilim as rulers worshipped as gods by fearful humans. But their dominance was no accident. It was part of a larger scheme, possibly orchestrated by the Watchers, to seize control of the earth. Were the Nephilim tools in a grander plan to dismantle God's purpose for humanity? If so, why didn't God stop them from the outset? The rise of the Nephilim pushed the earth to the brink of destruction. Genesis 6:5 states, "The Lord saw how great the wickedness of the human race had become on the earth, and that every inclination of the thoughts of the human heart was only evil all the time." But this wickedness wasn't solely human sin. It was the consequence of the corruption caused by the Nephilim and the Watchers. In response, God made a harrowing decision. "I will wipe from the face of the earth the human race." Genesis 6:7. But was the Great Flood merely a punishment, or was it an act of restoration to save what remained of creation? The Great Flood, described in Genesis 7:11, was no ordinary deluge. The Bible recounts that the springs of the great deep burst forth, and the floodgates of the heavens were opened. This was a cosmic event, blending divine wrath from above with collapse from below. Mountains were swallowed, cities submerged, and entire civilizations erased. But why did God choose such a drastic measure? A key detail lies in Genesis 6:9, where Noah is described as blameless among the people of his time. The Hebrew word tamim refers not only to moral righteousness, but also to genetic purity. Noah and his family were untainted by the Nephilim's bloodline, the last to bear God's original image. Noah's Ark was not just a vessel of escape. It was a fortress safeguarding life, a repository for the pure DNA of humanity and animals. The flood wasn't solely about erasing sin. It was an effort to restore God's plan, preserving the bloodline leading to the Messiah. Yet Genesis 6:4 delivers a shocking twist. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days and also afterward. How could the Nephilim return after such a cataclysmic event? Did something survive God's wrath, lurking in the shadows, to await its moment of reemergence? This question leads us to the remnants of a lost world. If the Great Flood erased all traces of the Nephilim and their civilization, why do we still find hints of an ancient world beyond human imagination? Across the globe, from the pyramids of Giza in Egypt to the massive stones of Baalbek in Lebanon and the enigmatic pillars of Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, megalithic structures defy logic. Stones weighing thousands of tons were moved and stacked with precision that even modern engineers marvel at. How could ancient civilizations, supposedly armed only with rudimentary tools, create such wonders? Could these be the remnants of a pre-flood world built by beings with angelic knowledge? Ancient legends seem to echo the same story. The Sumerians spoke of kings ruling thousands of years before a great flood. The Egyptians described a golden age when gods walked the earth. Plato wrote of Atlantis, an advanced empire swallowed in a day and a night. Are these mere myths or distorted memories of a civilization God erased? The Book of Enoch recounts that the Watchers taught humanity forbidden knowledge, from metallurgy to astronomy, that could explain the emergence of these timeless structures. Could these ruins be evidence of a world once led by the Nephilim, or even the Watchers themselves? Genesis 6:4 whispers that the Nephilim existed and also afterward. This suggests that some part of the pre-flood civilization may have survived, preserved through stories, structures, or even humanity's collective memory. Are the legends of gods, giants, and lost paradises fragments of a world God intentionally buried? If so, why do these traces still resonate through time, challenging us to look back and seek the truth? Genesis 2:7 describes a sacred moment. The Lord God formed man from the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and the man became a living being. This is the first time the Bible recounts the birth of Adam, the first human created to bear God's image. But if we look deeper, Adam was not the starting point of everything. He was a restart, a new strategy of God in a world that had already witnessed betrayal and destruction. The earth Adam stepped onto was not a pristine place, but a land bearing scars of earlier battles. So, what was Adam's true role? Was he merely a gardener or a warrior tasked with reclaiming the earth? The Bible recounts that Adam was placed in the Garden of Eden, a holy space where God walked in the cool of the day. Genesis 3:8. But take note, even in the garden, Adam was tasked to keep it. Genesis 2:15. Keep it from what? If Eden was perfect, why did it need guarding? The answer may lie in the reality that Adam's earth was not empty. It had once been the battlefield of an angelic rebellion, and the serpent, a being banished from heaven, was lurking. Genesis 3:17 declares, "Cursed is the ground because of you." But did this curse truly begin with Adam, or was it merely revealed, exposing a reality already wounded by earlier betrayals? The dust from which Adam was formed may have carried the memory of those prior rebellions. Adam wasn't created just to exist. He was given a mission: to rule, multiply, and restore God's order in a world already violated. Romans 5:14 calls Adam a pattern of the one to come, suggesting he was not the final goal, but the first step in a grander redemption plan. Yet Adam failed. When faced with the serpent, he did not guard or fight. He ate the forbidden fruit, and the earth fell into darkness once more. Did Adam realize he was not just a gardener, but a warrior in a war that began long before? And when he failed, who would rise to fulfill the mission he abandoned? If Adam was the starting point of the redemption plan, Jesus is its fulfillment. 1 Corinthians 15:45 proclaims, "The first man, Adam, became a living being. The last Adam, a life-giving spirit." The Bible doesn't call Jesus the second Adam, but the last Adam, a title rich with meaning. Jesus didn't merely repeat what Adam did. He completed and surpassed it, restoring not only what Adam lost, but also what creation had lost before humanity's arrival. Why is Jesus called the last Adam, and what did he conquer that Adam could not? While Adam was formed from the dust of the earth, Jesus stepped down from the glory of heaven. Adam received the breath of life from God. Jesus himself is the breath of life. John 1:4. When Adam hid in shame after his sin, Jesus marched to the cross, facing death without fear. Genesis recounts that after Adam's fall, a flaming sword was placed to block the way to the tree of life. Genesis 3:24. But at Golgotha, that sword pierced Jesus' body, tearing the veil separating God from humanity. Matthew 27:51. The cross was not just forgiveness, it was the reclamation of the dominion Adam lost, and, beyond that, a victory over the forces that had corrupted the earth long before. Romans 8:22 describes all creation groaning as it awaits liberation. Does this suggest the world suffered not only from Adam's sin, but from deeper wounds caused by earlier betrayals? Jesus came not only to save humanity, but to redeem creation, restoring it to its original state of holiness. Revelation 5:5-6 portrays him as the Lion of the tribe of Judah and the Lamb who was slain, the only one worthy to open the scroll of history. Was the cross merely forgiveness, or a declaration that dominion was reclaimed from those who once sought to usurp the earth? Through Jesus, the war didn't just shift, it was settled. The war that began in heaven, stretched through the betrayal of angels and Adam's fall, did not end at the cross. It continues, and you, yes you, are standing at its front line. Ephesians 6:12 declares, "For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world. This is no ordinary conflict. It's a cosmic battle where ancient forces, those who once defied God, still seek to destroy his plan. But you are not a bystander. You are called to be part of this story. Do you realize you were born not in a time of peace, but in the final chapter of an eternal war? The cross broke the curse, but the battle rages on. Revelation 12:12 warns, "Woe to the earth and the sea, because the devil has gone down to you in great wrath." The enemy, though defeated, still seeks to sow chaos. But here's the crux. You are not powerless. 1 John 4:4 proclaims, "The one who is in you is greater than the one who is in the world." You are endowed with the power to stand firm, to fight, and to carry forward the mission Adam failed and Jesus fulfilled. Do you see that every choice, every prayer, every action you take echoes in eternity? You're not just part of history, you are part of prophecy. This war isn't reported on the news or taught in schools, but it's more real than any battlefield. It's a war for worship, for dominion, for your very soul. In the Gospel of John 16:33, Jesus declares, "Take heart, I've overcome the world," but that victory doesn't mean you can stand on the sidelines. You are a co-heir, a co-warrior, called to carry light into the darkness, to continue the work Jesus began. Will you choose to rise, or will you let yourself be swept into the chaos of a world still groaning? The story from Adam to Jesus leads us to an ultimate destination, a new Eden, where the curse no longer exists. Revelation 22, 1-2 describes a holy city, the New Jerusalem, where the tree of life stands firm by the river of life. This is not just a beautiful image, it's a promise of complete restoration, where every wound of creation is healed. But what's astonishing is that you are invited to step into this Eden. Revelation 22:14 proclaims, "Blessed are those who wash their robes, that they may have the right to the tree of life." Do you realize this invitation is for you, right now, in your very life? The new Eden is not a distant dream. It's the culmination of all God has done, from creating Adam through Jesus' cross to the war you're living in. But entering this new Eden demands a choice. To stand with God, reject the chaos of the world, and live with divine purpose. In Matthew 7:13-14, Jesus warns of the narrow road that leads to life, in contrast to the wide road that leads to destruction. Which path will you choose? Adam's path, leading to failure, or Jesus' path, leading to glory? This story doesn't end with Adam or even the cross. It continues through you. Every decision you make, from praying, forgiving, to standing firm against temptation, is a step closer to the new Eden. Will you let yourself be drawn into the darkness of a world long wounded, or will you rise to become part of the restoration God promised? The New Jerusalem awaits, where its gates will never be shut. Revelation 21:25. You are invited to walk through those gates, but do you dare accept the call? What do you think about the world before Adam? Did giants truly walk the earth? Are the ancient structures remnants of a civilization God erased? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We want to hear your story. If this video has made you see the Bible in a new light, hit the like button, share it with friends, and invite them to join this journey of discovery. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications to catch every mystery we'll uncover next. Thank you for stepping into this forgotten world with us. We'll see you in the next video, where we'll continue to unveil the pages of sacred history, where ancient mysteries meet eternal truths. Keep your curiosity, hold fast to your faith, and continue seeking the truth, for your story, like the story of the world, is still being written.